What is going on? It's CGSM Tiger Rider back with another video, and today we're going to be discussing passing your motorcycle test all the way from CVT, AM, A1, A2 up to the lovely full unrestricted licence of Category A. Right guys, I'm going to apologise for advance before we start this video. I waffle a hell of a lot in this, so please bear with me. I don't do many of these videos, it's normally just riding, but I've never done a video where I don't talk over the video that's running, so just bear with me. All the information's there, just bear with me. I know I talk a lot, but just try to get the best out of yourself for the test. Alright, take care. Right. So, with that, let's crack on. So, the first thing you're going to know is in the UK, there's a car theory and a motorcycle theory. Don't go to your bike test thinking that your car theory is going to cover you, because it won't. However, it is exactly the same. So, you can take your test from the age of 16 with a provisional licence, as everyone should already know how to get. It's exactly the same as a car test. You've got your multiple choice questions, which are going to be 50 of them, and your hazard perception, which is going to be 75, and you need 43% correct in the first and 45 answered correctly in the second. So with that, you're going to be on a ready to take your CBT. So that's what comes first. The first thing they're going to test you in your CBT is your eye test. So for example, they might turn around and be like, what's the reg of that bike ahead, or something like that. I can't remember what the exact distance is. I'm sure someone will correct us, but say for the Audi in front of me, maybe, I don't know, about 7 paces further back, they might get you to read the reg for that. I can't take 7 paces further back because I'll fall on my arse. Then they're going to be doing the practical, so they're going to be walking you around the bike, talking to you about different bits and pieces. So you're going to be, even though you've never ridden a bike before, they're still going to expect you to know a little bit, like how to check the oil, which you're going to have the little oil reservoir tank down on the bike, or they might check your brake fluid up top, where's the min, where's the max, things like that. What's the legal tyre tread depth on a motorcycle? Unlike a car at 1.6, motorcycles are just 1. These are brand new tyres, so they'll be absolutely fine. They may ask you how to operate the front brake. So if we go through the controls quickly on a motorcycle. So first of all, unlike a car, yes, you twist a key, which brings your ignition up, and then you normally crank it again to fire the car over. On a bike, you press the thumb start there. So you can start a button here. You got your kill switch. So when the bike's running, if you hit that button at the top, the bike's going to cut. This is mainly beneficial if you do drop the bike on the floor and the bike is still running. Just hit that, stop anything else, any further damage, and then lift the bike up, and then you'll be good as gold. So with the first click, you've taken off steering lock, and the second click is kicking the ignition over, hence why you can see the speedo and all that. Then you can straighten the handlebars up. So on this side, you're going to have your indicator. You see up there, all bikes are they're the same, but they have different setups, as you can probably imagine, just like a car. So on a motorcycle, I've indicated to the left, but as you can see, I'm steering right to left and the indicator doesn't come off. So motorcycles don't have self-cancelling indicators. They do, that's some of the newer ones, they have started doing that, but it is always safer. You just push that in and you'll see the light goes off. So on this bike, I've got a green light for neutral. All motorcycles should have a neutral light. Then you've got your lights there, so if I press the main beam on, you've got the blue light there, and then you can turn them off. Obviously the light goes off as well. Then you've got a flasher, just like you're pulling the indicator stalk back on a car, how you flash. That's how you flash on a motorcycle, where you've got a little pass light there. Then you've got your horn. Don't need to really explain that, that's pretty simple. And then get onto the slightly trickier stuff, which is actually riding the motorcycle. So you've got on a car, you've got 3 pedals, a gear stick and a steering wheel, and obviously your indicators. On a bike, it's a slightly more complicated, but a hell of a lot more fun. So your gears are down here. Motorcycle gearbox called sequential gearbox. So what you've got is you're in neutral here, and then you kick down into first, and then all the rest are up.
So should you pull up to a set of lights, you don't want to be in 4th, 5th or 6th and have to bash your way back to 1st again. It is quite annoying. Some motorcycles, including the test bikes, because they always have the best of the best, will actually have a gear indicator. Do not rely on that. You rely on the gear indicator, and when you get your bike, you'll start questioning, so, oh, what gear am I in and all that. After a period of time, you'll learn that what gear it needs to be in. It's a lot more simple than you might first thought, but to learn with gear indicator can be a lot of headache. So you got your gears down here. Don't really want you to worry about this. This is your pillion seat up here. This is your pillion peg. There's one around the other side. This is your peg. This is your side stand. Most motorcycles won't allow you to kick the bike into gear, or they shouldn't, if the side stand's down, because you can imagine you forget about it, kick it into first, drive off, lean into your left hand corner, and it's going to throw you on the floor. So you don't want that. Obviously mirrors don't need to explain that. So around the front of the bike, obviously you've got your front forks going up there, you've got your wheel. This is a 1050 Triumph Tiger, so it's slightly bigger engine than your 125. 125 should only have one disc at the front, one disc at the back. Bigger bike, more power, needs a lot more braking, so it's got 2 discs at the front. Obviously, if you've watched my videos, you've probably seen the footage of the camera stalk I've got under here. Camera that's now in my lid is normally under there, getting a wider angle view of the road. This bike's got 2 auxiliary floodlights. Most bikes won't come with that, they're optional extras. Indicators here, so if I turn the indicator on, you can see the indicator there. And obviously, I'm not teaching you how to suck eggs or anything, but if you've never ridden a motorcycle before, or a car, you won't necessarily understand everything I'm saying. So over to the left to indicate left, press in to cancel, over to the right to indicate right, and then press in to cancel. So at the front of the bike, you may think, oh no, you got a light bulb out. 70% of motorcycles have this set up. So you've got 2 side lights, one at the top on the left and one at the top on the right. This is your dip beam, and then this is your main beam. So when I pull that forward, you can notice that this light lights up along with my fog light, and that's my main beam there. So just because you want to be seen on the road, and that light is absolutely horrendous during the driving at night, things like that. Right, so now we come over to this side of the bike. You've got your handlebars, already mentioned this, and brake fluid here. Anyone wondering, that's heated grips. Not all bikes have that, but I had this one installed. So you've got your clutch here on the left hand side, sorry, along with your gears. So everything is in the right place. So you've got your clutch, you kick up, you let go of the clutch. Simple as that. And now you've got your front brake. Best way to check is to turn over here, pull the brake in there, and you might think that's done. However, it's not, because you've also got a rear brake. So now you can see both my hands here, and you got your rear brake. Front brake 70%, rear brake 30%, and you got the front brake is on the handlebars and the rear brake is on your foot. As simple as that. So I've already said that's the brake fluid reservoir at the front, brake fluid reservoir at the back, and yeah, so this is your clutch cable down there, and there is lots to go on about a bike, especially when it comes to riding it, but I hope that's helpful as of now. You've got your fuel filler flap here. Key has to come out, go in the hole on most of them. I know some new ones are getting more fancy as days go on and all of this, so some of them have a button and all this. Scooters, I believe you've got to lift the seat up. I'm trying to lean this more towards motorcycles. When you come to doing your CBT, what you're going to want to do is try and speak to them as to who else is on the CBT at the moment. So on the same day you come down, you don't want to be learning how to ride a geared motorcycle when everyone else is sitting on mopeds, because on a moped you twist the throttle and you go, hence why they're called twist and go scooters or mopeds. Whereas motorcycles, there's a little bit more going on and can be a little bit harder to understand, especially when you're learning. And obviously, as any teacher, they're going to chase the pupils that are doing well, and they're going to probably leave you behind and ask you to come back, which is not what you want. So I've made some notes here just to help me out doing this video, and also help you out as well. So like I said, first things first, you've got your eyesight, then you've got the talking about the bike and what everything does, and the millimeters you're going to need in flex of the chain. If I can do this, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but you can see there's ample flex on the chain, not too much, and you should go there. What I was saying about the braking, so when you're riding, you're probably going to want to cover the rear brake. You don't really need the front brake for your CVT, the part 1 of the CVT. There's technically 3 parts. There is 2, I always call it 3. So you're going to start off with your slow stuff, which is you're barely going to need to touch the throttle. It's all going to be on clutch. You're going to go in between some traffic cones. I made this thing here, which probably is going to help no one, but I thought it was quite funny. So this bit here, the green, is where you're going to start. First thing you can do is you're going to come up to these traffic cones and you're going to do a slalom. That's your slalom there, and that will get you swerving in and out of the cones and learning that you've got to twist the handlebar, be on the rear brake, covering it, driving nice and slowly. It's not a race. You're going to want to take that nice and slowly. Now, the ones in my test were green. The ones in the playground were red as well, and these ones were all white. And then when you get to this end here, you're going to want to do a figure of 8. I don't know how many they get you to do now, but it's going to be either 1 or 2, and then just drive straight back. Now here they're going to have a mock-up road, so let's just do, I don't know, something like that. And what you're going to want to do is look over your right hand shoulder, because it's UK again, remember, so you're going to be on the left hand side of the fake road they've got here. It's pretty good, to be fair, their fake road, but you're going to be on the left hand side of the road, and they're going to get you to shoulder check to the right as you start taking off, and then you're going to indicate, and as you're coming up, as you indicate, you're going to want to do another lifesaver, and then you want to look in the direction of the travel, which is going to be back the way you came. So as you come up here, you're looking where you want to go. I'm sure you've probably seen lots of videos already, if you're learning how to ride, on target fixation. You do target fixation. It's basically meaning you're going ahead here and you want to bend around a left hand bend, but something takes your eye and you start looking off, and you'll actually find yourself drifting further to the right. Or you'll think, oh no, there's a pothole there, I don't want to hit that, and you'll hit the pothole because the bike will go 95% of the time where you're looking, not where you're steering when it comes to speeds. So after you've done all of that, should take about 15-20 minutes on the actual CVT. During the training it'll be different. You'll have lots of opportunities. The bikes have got lots of crash bars, they're insured, so you haven't got to worry about dropping their bikes. Just don't be trying to pop wheelies on a CVT, because they won't thank you for that and you'll probably be asked to leave. So that's segment 1, if you want to call it that. And then you've got the second one, which is the fast stuff. The fast stuff, what you're going to want to do is actually get through the gearbox this time rather than sitting in first, and then you're going to come around here. Don't know what mile an hour it's set at now. I think it was about 30 mile an hour when I did it, and you're going to want to zip all the way down this far line here to a line at the end, and you're going to want to stop before 2 traffic cones, which are probably going to be sitting around there. You come to a stop. When you come to a stop on a motorcycle, you want to hold in that front brake, obviously drag the rear to slow down. When you come to a complete stop, cover yourself on that front brake, and you're going to lean the whole bike over to the left, and your left leg's going to be on the floor and your right leg's going to be still on, touching that rear brake, making sure that you're all good to go. In your CVT, you're really going to want to make sure you do your lifesavers, even though you're in a closed playground and no one's going to do anything. There isn't any cars in the playground, but you've got to prove how vigilant you are. So practice, as I've said in my description of the channel, is practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent. So silly things like, oh, there's no one on the road, I won't bother indicating. If you indicate everywhere you go, that will be what you want to do, and you'll get used to it, and before you know it, it'll be muscle memory and you'll be riding very well from the get-go. Anyway, so back to this drawing that's looking absolutely horrendous now. So if I take all this back, so there's your finish line there, if you want to call it that. You then, second time, you're going to zip round, and there's going to be a traffic cone in the middle of where you're going, and what you're going to want to do is go towards that traffic cone, and then there'll probably be another one. They'll describe it to you there. I'm just giving you just a little brief overview. When you get to that first traffic cone, they're going to want you to swerve, hazard avoidance, and then come back to where you want to be, and then continue going straight back round to where you started. And then the last one, you're going to be going back towards these 2 traffic cones there. So I'll tell you what, if I get rid of my rubbish drawings, you're going to come up to that line, so you're going to loop all the way around again, and as you come down, you're going to want to come to a controlled stop and then an emergency stop as well. So I think I said controlled stop first, but the next one will be emergency stop. So when you go past these cones, it's come to a stop as quickly and safely as possible. That does not mean pull in the front brake until it's touching the throttle and stamp on the brake until it's touching the floor, because what you'll find is a bike's just going to skid, or you're going to fall off, or just make yourself look like an idiot. So you don't really want to be doing that. So just nice and controlled stop, give it a lot of front brake and the majority of the rear brake, about 50-60% as you're coming in, and then as you can feel that the bike's under control, then whack it all the way home, and then you'll be absolutely fine. But don't be doing 30 mile an hour, lock up the brakes, because you will bin it, and that is not what you want to do. Anyway, so what I've also written down here is, after you've done all of that, you're then going to want to do your the accessible check to see if you're good enough to go out onto the road. I wasn't the first time. I'd never ridden a motorcycle before, and I was also in the training centre with a load of people on mopeds, so like I said earlier, they ended up just ignoring me and concentrating on the people who were doing well. So anyway, the next time I came, I was absolutely fine. They took me out on the road, and they get you doing emergency stops, seeing how you ride, different positions of the road. So if we use this this parking space here as an example, if you're turning left, if there's any drains, I can appreciate you moving over a little bit, but if you're turning left, you want to come up to the junction on the left hand side of the road. If you're turning right, especially at a roundabout, anything like that, you want to be on the right hand side of the road. Cars don't like motorcycles or mopeds, neither do vans. Vans do look out for us more than you'd think, but car drivers, they're too busy on their phone prattling about that they don't look for us. So if you're on the right hand side of the road over here and you're coming up to a right hand turn, as you come to a stop, you want to do a shoulder check, and then make sure, and do your mirror signal maneuver. So you're going to check your mirror first, you're going to put your indicator on if there's nothing coming, and then if you do have to come to a complete stop, you obviously want to put your front brake, rear brake, and then sit on your left leg, and then when it's safe to go, you then shoulder check again and maneuver. The reason you want to check everywhere so much is because you pull up at a junction, say here, the turning's there, and a car's going to come flying past you. They'll see you on L plates, they won't think you know what you're doing, and then obviously swing into the corner when it's safe to do so, and then make sure you cancel that indicator. They'll probably give you about 3 to 5 seconds to turn your indicator off. If you hear them say turn your indicator off, you know you failed. I hate to say it, but I know, thankfully that didn't happen to me, but you'll know that you failed from that point on, because they'll be watching you, they'll be questioning everything that you do. However, with a CBT, yeah, it's pass and fail, but it doesn't mean you failed, go away, don't ride bikes. It means come for a little bit bit more training next week, and we'll go through it again. And they will, and you'll get better. Each and every time you do it, you'll be getting better. This is listen to everything your trainer says. Just bear what I say in mind. When you come to stop behind a car, you're probably, if the car's the fence over there, you're probably going to want to stop around here, just in case anything happens. You're going to be vigilant, checking both your mirrors and shoulder checks and that, and inevitably there's going to be a car behind you that's on their phone, not paying attention, still on the throttle because they think the cars are still moving, and you're going to be in the middle of a car/van sandwich, which is not what you want. So what I would do is, if we're going this way and you've got your white line here and there's a car here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to kind of straddle the white line. Don't do this on test, but in the real world you're going to be straddling here. So if a car crashes, they're just going to go ploughing straight into the car in front of you and not sandwich you. But that's also why we're allowed to filter in the UK, so we can just consistently manoeuvre around traffic when it's safe to do so. Obviously this is a parking space, not a line in the middle of the road, so don't be going on a double yellow and all this, but you know, you'll get the idea. So anyway, first things first, you're going to do that. Everything I've just said there, that is your CBT done, and then hopefully you're going to be able to go and buy your first motorcycle. If you're the ages 16 plus, you're going to get a 50cc moped. You'll have a AM motorcycle license. That means you're going to be restricted to a 50cc, and that's probably got about 28 miles an hour. You're still going to have your L plates on. You're absolutely not allowed to take anyone on the back of it, and you're not allowed on motorways only, just M roads. If you've got any dual carriageways with 2 or 3 lanes, you are allowed to use it. The second you see M25, M2, M3, do not go near them, and you will get pulled over. And I don't know if it's points on your license or whatever it is, or a fine, but you don't want points on your license when you first started riding, because your insurance is going to be unbelievable to begin with. But anyway, the next step is going to be 17 plus, and you're going to pass your A1. Once you pass your A1, you'll be allowed on a 125 motorcycle or moped, and that will probably max out between 55 and 60, maybe be lucky to hit 70 if you're going downhill with your head tucked up behind the visor looking like a muppet. But you'll once you pass your A1, you'll have your L plate off. To pass your pass your L plate, to pass your A1 is exactly the same principle as what I've said before. You're going to be going around a playground with your trainer and all that for probably the first day, maybe half the second day, and then at the end of the second day they're going to drive you to the nearest test centre. So you don't need to worry about finding your own test centre, you just need to go about finding your own driving school. So I went with Phoenix Motorcycle Training. They're scattered about the country, they're really good, really friendly staff, but I'm sure they'll be I'm sure all of them are as good as each other. They do have quite a high fail rate. That's probably to do with the areas that they do it. So they do one in Erith, which I failed on. I've done I just did my A2 and my category A. I think I failed both of them, having to go to Erith. The testers almost have like a failure record that they've got to hit, and chose me for each one. When they told me what I failed on, I was staggered that was a failure. But yeah, so once you've done that, you're 17 plus, you're A1. You're now allowed on a moped. You're allowed on a 125. Then after you've passed that, to take your L plates off, and you can now, I believe you can now carry a pillion on the back. I'm not 100%, but after you've done that, obviously your commute to and from is going to be a lot easier to work or school, wherever you go. You'll also find that bikes are initially very expensive, but in the long run, this is a 1050 Triumph Tiger pushing 140 horsepower, and I only put 20 quid for about 190 miles, so it's a lot better off than a car. You don't know, if you're London or England at all, if you know London well, you don't have to pay going over the Dartford crossing at all on a motorcycle. Congestion charge zones depending on the year of the bike, so it is worth it. Motorcycles in the long run. And you'll also slowly find out that motorcycle is not a mode of transport, it's actually a way of life, and I do say that with Chest as well. It is a way of life. You don't see many groups of cars unless they're souped cars or cars with wings on the back of it and pop pop bang bang and all this, that they'll go to their car meets. So we do exactly the same on bikes. Motorcycles, they're a lot more inviting to newbies than someone in a car who's just gone and bought a Vauxhall Corsa and straight piped it, parked next to an M3 and a Nissan GTR thinking they're all that, and they'll get put in their place very quickly. Motorcycles, we look out for each other when we're out on a ride out, or even if you've never met the person before. If you do drop your bike, there'll be a motorcycle behind you within a matter of 5-10 minutes seeing if you're okay. I've even pulled over at the hard shoulder of the motorway to change the battery in my 360, and I had 2 motorcycles pull up next to me to see if I was okay and all that. So everyone cares when you're on a motorcycle, as long as they ride motorcycles. You'll also notice some car drivers pull over and see if you're okay. You'll probably find out that they're motorcyclists in their spare time as well, and they do look after each other. Try and steer clear of Harley Davidsons, because they probably drive their bike twice a year, once to the MOT, once to the service, and then they just polish it for the rest of the time. And the same with Honda Gullwings. People like that don't really reciprocate the biker nod, which is literally just twisting your head to one side, and it says hi to oncoming bikers, and you'll either get 2 fingers like that, just a peace sign as they drive past you, or they'll reciprocate the nod. Next thing you're going to want to do is be 19 plus, and then you can get on a A2 motorcycle. Now that is when motorcycling becomes fun. You get a 500cc motorcycle at max. This isn't just you can get, you have to get a 500cc or a 47 horsepower motorcycle. Yet again, you're allowed to have a pillion on the back of it. I would recommend when you pass your A2, get exactly the power that you need. So get a 500cc 47 horsepower motorcycle, whatever bike you want. Reason I say that is purely because that is going to be the most power you're going to be able to get out of it. If you go and get yourself a 6 or 750, whatever, and get it restricted, you're going to then have weight against you, and you'll actually probably find out other people will be slower. You'll be slower than other people on the same bike, because you'll be carrying a hell of a lot more weight and not have enough power to utilize it. So just get the absolute capacity. So get yourself a 547 horsepower, and then you can start christening in the pillion seat. And also, this is called a pillion seat, not a backpack. A backpack is a thing that you wear and you walk around with. This is pillion seat. I don't know where this started coming from, but it's a pillion seat. Anyway, now the good stuff. So once you've passed that and you're 19 plus, you can then do your full unrestricted Cat A license. And this time, where I failed it once in a local one, I ended up going down to Canterbury, I think, somewhere like that, out in the sticks, and took my license there. I took my test there because it's just a lot easier for me. There was less traffic on the road. I panicked a little bit, because we all panic, and I was definitely panicking. So I went down there and did it again and passed. But yeah, so it's exactly the same thing that I've said. You're going to be doing a CBT effectively in the playground. Once you've passed the playground stuff, that's your mod 1 done, and then you're going to go out on the road. And this is the same with A2 as well. And then your mod 2 is going to be down there, the roads nearby the centre. You'll probably be gone for about 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that, unless it's changed. When I passed my test, you didn't get taken on motorways. I don't know if they do that anymore. I know cars have started getting taken on motorways. I don't know if you have to on a bike, but yeah, so there's something to bear in mind. And definitely ask your tester on your CBT, or your trainer, sorry, on the CBT, just to double check everything. But yeah, so if you're new to biking and you're above 24, you can do something called direct access, which is what I've got a couple of my mates doing. I know quite a few people who have done it, and that is basically right, you're 24 plus, you take your CBT like anybody else would, and then you're going to go and take your Cat A license, but it's called direct access. So during a 125 test, you're going to be on a 125 motorcycle. On a AM, you're going to be on a 50cc. When you come to do your A2, you'll be on a 47 horsepower motorcycle. I was on a CB500F, and then I went and bought a CB500X. Hondas are brilliant motorcycles. I do love them. I've had 3 now, and they're just, if you leave the bike for a month or 2 months or something, you come over, turn the engine over, and it'll fire up first time every time. They're just very, very reliable bikes. This bike I have to turn over once a week, or it won't start when I want to actually go out for a ride, which is a massive headache. When you first pass your bike test, no, it doesn't matter if you're a youngster trying to get an AM or an A2, A1, whatever, or if you're a little bit older like myself and you're trying to get a full Cat A, your insurance is going to be absolutely unbelievable. So people who are on mopeds or 125s, I'm going to walk around this side of the bike quickly, don't worry about exhausts. Next time you're on a bus or in a car or whatever, and you've got a bike going past you and you clock him in the mirror, you'll see him, and then probably when he gets to about here, you'll start hearing him. I do appreciate the loud pipes save lives, but that doesn't really apply to 125s and 50cc's, because the bikes that you're going to be on put a exhaust on it, and you'll just get called a hairdryer and have the piss taken out of you. So I wouldn't bother with doing anything like that. So what you're probably going to want to do is just look after the bike stock. If you need it for work and you want to put a box on the back of it, then absolutely by all means put a box on the back of it, and no one's going to have an issue with that. But I wouldn't bother modifying the bike until you're probably on your A2. Another quick thing that I thought I'd mention before I jump on and show you a couple other bits and pieces is that when you do your CBT, A1, A2 and A, another thing they're going to ask you to do is manual handling of the bike. I know it's not a weapon, but manual handling, or whatever they call it now, is basically where you're going to want to kick the bike up. I'd always recommend keeping that side stand down, just in case you do drop it, it falls onto the side stand, and always have it semi-leaning towards you. So you're going to want to walk alongside the bike, this bike's slightly more heavy and I am on a bit of an incline, but you get the idea. You can move the bike, you can steer and all of that. You would always do that with the engine off, and you would always do your shoulder checks before you go any further than that. And that is about it for the testing. When you do buy your first motorcycle, I would definitely recommend jumping on a like a CB125F, which is going to be your commuter style bike. Honda do the CB125F, X and R, and when you do your F is like a commuting position with flat handlebars. The CB500X is, CB125X, sorry, I had a 500, so I keep saying that. CB125X is going to be like a touring position similar to what I'm on here, and then you've got your CBR125, which is going to be a race position, which is obviously what lots of people want to end up on. I don't recommend getting a sports bike for your first bike, and the reason being is because you're going to be on very, very high insurance, and in a racing position you'll definitely be encouraging yourself to ride a bit faster, which is not really what you want to be doing. You don't want to be encouraging yourself to ride faster, because that's when you will start having yourself some problems and accidents and that. Another reason why I said to watch how you ride is because you don't want to your insurance is going to be very, very high as it is. You're going to have to bear in mind the second that you swing your leg over a motorcycle, especially as a new rider. I'm not deterring anyone, I'm just saying this is what happens, and any motorcyclist that you see will say this. When you're learning, you will have spills, whether that be just coming up to a junction and placing the bike on the floor, leaving your disc lock on, which I've done, and placing the bike on the floor, or if you do actually have yourself a fully blown accident, that's exactly what you're going to end up doing. You'll end up placing the bike on the floor and upsetting yourself. So I don't really recommend you modify your first bike, because you're going to be very upset when you drop your first bike, especially if you've put exhausts on it or anything like that. That's not what you're going to want to be doing. So your A1, I didn't do an A1 because of my age, but when you come to your A2 motorcycle, you're probably going to be having that one for a little bit longer. So when you're having your A2, you can then start modifying it. Obviously I can appreciate normal modifications, like if you need the bike for work, you can then stick your top box on there, which is like Gibby, or what I've done here, which is a Gibby tank bag, just to save me having to put massive boxes on the back of the bike, because I know that is what happens, and you need it for work. I can't fault you for that. But in terms of like cosmetic changes, I don't really know why you put an air filter on a motorcycle, because that's when you need to start macking shit, and it's just going to cause you a headache. And you've got to remember, any bit of modifications you do, you will have to declare it to your insurance company, unless you think you're never going to have an accident, which you can't bet on. So you don't really want to be doing that, because that's where you're going to have some headaches. So yeah, again, this is what I was just saying to you. Pulled up in front of this van here, sitting on that rear brake, and sitting over to the right hand side of the road. Especially when it's a van, I can see round him, I can see what's going on. I also have a van behind me, however he did let me out and he put his thumb up, so I'm presuming he rides or something like that. Have chosen a pretty bad time to go out for this ride, because that's where school traffic is and all that. So another thing to bear in mind is, as you go around roundabouts, and obviously you come out to the roundabout now, you stick your indicator on, and that's probably going to be the only time you're going to want to steer using the handlebars. So as you see, I come up to this roundabout, just double check everything, and you can see I'm actually steering the handlebars to go around the roundabout. Now that might seem a given, like, well yeah, of course you're steering, but that's not always the case. When you're going faster, say 30, 40, something like that, you'll find that you actually push the handlebars one way and you'll actually lean the bike the other way. So in a sense, steer or turn left to go right, and turn right to go left, and things like that is kind of what you'll end up doing. I've tell you what, I'll actually loop this roundabout, and I'll go straight. So I actually want to go straight here. Another thing, especially for new riders, yeah, you're going to turn the wrong way, but on test, if you turn the wrong way and you can correct it by looping a roundabout or something, just make sure that you actually do that correctly. So I've looped the roundabout, got into the right lane, and gone round the way I wanted to go. So now you can see, as we're building up a little bit of speed, I'm barely turning the handlebars at all. So what I'm actually doing is, if I sit over this side of the road on the left and I push the handlebars to the left as if I want to steer left, I actually find that the whole bike leans to the right. And that will happen a lot at fast speeds, and that's what you'll have to get used to. But you don't want to suddenly steer the bike to the left, because that's also what you'll end up doing, is leaning. And if you're leaning too much at slow speeds, that's when you can drop the bike and cause yourself headache, and you don't want to be doing that at all. So coming up to another roundabout here, and I'm the first one, no one's making an effort. So it's the first person who's on the roundabout when there's 4 people at a roundabout, but it doesn't always work that way. So I'll slow down and let this guy go. Oh yeah, fair enough, thank you mate. Alright, so he's used his brain there, because he knows I now can't get in, or I can't get past him because he's going to be blocking on the road, which I didn't see because I had a bit of obstruction on the left, which is all good. Always taking it nice and careful when you go around parked cars, because you never know when someone's going to pull out in front of you. This one I know can be quite bad, so I'm always sitting on, I'm not touching the rear brake, but I'm on it just in case, or just covering it, just in case anyone does anything stupid. Like this guy pulling out here, he's not going to see me. Instead of losing my shit at him and doing silly things that's going to hurt your wrist or anything, you just slow down, come off the throttle, ease off back a little bit, and you'll be absolutely fine. I know they're going to teach you a lot on your CVT, and I'm just seeing what I can do to help. But when you set off on a motorcycle, I always recommend to people giving it a little bit more beans on a 125, otherwise you're just going to stall, and you don't want to do that. So instead of where I can just come off the throttle and come off the clutch a little bit and go, you can't always do that on a 125, because it doesn't actually have the power there. I can do about 11 mile an hour on just the clutch before I need the actual throttle at all. So motorcycles right there, having a look. Mind you, I do have that 360 camera on the rack, so sometimes that gets some looks, as you've probably seen in previous videos. But this is a good example. Close that down there so you can probably hear me a bit better. So I'm now pushing the handlebars to the right, and we're going to the left, pulling the handlebars to the right, and we're going back again. So you'll see what I mean in terms of things like that. So the position you really want on the road, and this goes for test as well, is somewhere between this position and the far right of the road. You don't want to undertake cars. You'll see a lot of mopeds, normally on L plates or Deliveroos and Just Eats and all that. They'll be undertaking people, even if there's space to undertake. It's not always necessary. This road is a little bit bigger, so what I'm going to do is start making my way up. I'm only going to do the one car now, just do a little shoulder check, make sure he's letting me back in. As you can see, you've got the island there. You don't really want to be, and they don't have the right spread anyway. You don't really want to be trying to filter too much when there's a traffic light there, because that's when you're going to, an island in the middle of the road, because that's when, especially at night, you're going to be carrying too much speed. You're in the middle of the road where all that dirt is there, and when you come to suddenly stop or slow down, even if it's carefully, there's a chance you could well skid straight off into the obstacle, which is not what you want to do. Alright, coming back up to this same roundabout now, indicating left this time, just double checking all the way over to the right, checking that Renault's actually doing what he said. I'm not turning my indicator off because I'm actually turning left down here. Just double checking that car there, all is good, he's not doing a U-turn, which he shouldn't be doing anyway. And when you're following cars, if you go down lanes, I mean I live down lanes, so just want to bear in mind that all these cars could suddenly swing out and do a U-turn or 3-pointer at any time. You won't get told to do a 3-pointer on a motorcycle because we don't have reverse gears, so there's not much we can do that. It has to be a turn in the road, or if you've got a heavy bike it can be a struggle. I think it's the BMW GT 1600 Honda Goldwing bikes that are pretty much cars but on 2 wheels, or armchairs on 2 wheels. They do actually have reverse gears, which is obviously helpful for them. We don't really need reverse gears. Our lock to lock is pretty good, so we should be able to handle it ourselves. It's not too heavy, but those ones do weigh a hell of a lot, and if they drop that, you need a fucking forklift to pick it up. So yet again, we're turning left here, just slow down a bit, covering that, thank this guy for not pulling out because he's not reading the road properly. Yeah, and I'd make it a habit for yourself to just quickly check in your mirrors every now and then, just to double check you haven't got a BMW up your arse or anything like that. I can't talk because I've got a BMW as well, but I know what it's like. I know how people act when there's motorcycles, especially bikes that do make a lot of noise. People suddenly think you want to race them all the time, which isn't necessarily the case. Right now we're swinging back into the same car park on Leeds, so we're just going to be slightly bit more careful, just to make sure that we don't kick that back end out. We do have ABS, but sometimes it can scare you, and that will cause you to do silly things. And that is pretty much everything that I've got for today's video, I think. If there's anything else you can think of that you want me to go over and all that, then by all means. For a couple of other things that I wanted to share before I do go is how you actually manoeuvre a bike. As you can see, I'm now looking to the left. I do actually want to go into this space here just so I'm out of the way, but you see what I mean. If I started looking left there, it would be something completely different. So now we're stationary. I've put both my feet down now, hence me covering the front brake. But when you come up to a set of lights, you're going to want to have your right foot on the rear brake, so now it can't go backwards, and obviously you've got my foot down there. And when you do want to go, you can come off the clutch slightly, and you can start hearing that engine drop, so you can, the engine revs drop. So you can see I've got a rev counter there sitting just above 1, but it's a triple, so it does bounce around a lot more than it would do if it's a twin or a inline 4 or something like that. So I'll come off the clutch the tiniest bit. Now I can feel the bike wants to go. If I come off that rear brake, we start going, and this is a bit of a hill. It's just because of the power of the bike. Where if you're on a 125, you're probably going to need a bit more throttle. Now, as long as your clutch control is good, you don't really need to worry about the amount of throttle you give. You'll get better within time, but like right now I can actually bring the revs right up to like here, and then gently come off the throttle, and it will be actually absolutely fine, which is what you can do. So I could be redlining the bike, and as long as the clutch is okay, the bike will still come off the line pretty smoothly, and then that's something that you can just get better at and better at in time. If you are on a proper gradient doing a hill start, you will want to sit on that brake, because if you think you've got to be on your front brake and now you've got both feet on the floor where you should be sitting on that rear brake, and then all of a sudden you want to come off the clutch and jump on the throttle, and the bike started rolling back before you've had a chance to get there. And if there is a car sitting up your arse, there's a chance you could hit them and all that, and that's not really what you want. So as you can see, that green neutral light has gone off because I'm actually in first gear now. What you're going to want to do to get it up is you just do a little half click from first, not quite into second, and then there you go, you've got your neutral light there. And that is pretty much everything. So I will stop the video there. I can't think of anything else that I need to say. Apart from getting off the bike, you're always going to want to mount and dismount the bike on the left hand side, because it's the side stand side. If you start trying to get on the bike on the right, what you're going to find is the whole bike's going to start sitting up. So I'll see if I can get my 360 camera to pick up any more of this. But if you actually go around the back of the bike and you want to try and get on from this side, what you actually find is you're going to actually pull the bike off of its side stand, and it's going to start moving. As you can see, I've now completely taken it off its side stand, and I've barely put any weight on it. And that is yeah, that is now it. Right guys, best of luck with your CBTs, ride safe as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.